get the feeling we're overrun. Sending boys in the trucks with the 50 cals. Tell every swinging dick bring extra rounds. Hang in now, boys, we're on our way. Don't send them all to heaven before we get a taste. Whoa, cry havoc, let's slip the doors away. What you gonna do?
What's happening, folks? Happy Sunday to you, November 2nd here. Hey, this is a recorded episode. I'm not actually here. I'm on a plane, or might already be, in Florida. You see, tomorrow, November 3rd, is my birthday. I'm turning 53, and my beautiful, awesome, amazing wife booked a trip for us down to Florida. We're going to go spend a few days down there and explore the Panhandle. Never been to that area. I lived in Florida for several years, but down south when I was a kid. And so, yeah, we're going to the Panhandle, man. We're going to check out. We're in Panama City right about now. So nevertheless, leave your opinions on the stuff we're talking about here. Leave your comments, of course, on the video. And when I get back amongst the living and back to work here, I will go through each one of these and we'll answer them. And you know what? If there's enough good response from this thing tonight, then yeah, man, we'll maybe fire up topics from this again, and we'll go live with it, and we'll try to get a panel of people in here. It's a little bit different show tonight, right? Stick with us on this bad boy here. Before we get going too much further here, every episode of the Double S Podcast brought to you by the Romans Warrior Foundation. Go check them out. RomansWarriorFoundation.org. Nonprofit organization bringing healing and help and alternative ways to connect to our brothers and sisters around the nation. Between all of our programs that we have at the Romans Warrior Foundation, and they are the sponsor of our podcast for this entire season here. So definitely go check them out. Of course, Heroes Media Group, we are part of this fantastic organization where we are broadcasting out on all channels here. Adam Bird and all of our co-hosts that are out there of the other podcasts that run on here. Something for everybody, man. Resources galore. Check out the podcast. We were just on the Homefront Sit Rep earlier this week. That was always awesome to sit there with Brother Dave and chat and be included in those circles with their veteran roundtable. To be able to partake in there as we do. I am not a veteran, but we do serve in the space, trying to bring support where we can there. So it's always an honor to be invited to that and have a seat there with those gentlemen. Yeah, man. All right. So tonight on this episode, we're going to do something a little different. I got no interviews lined up. We're going to talk about some somewhat heavy topics, if you will. And it all relates into the veteran and first responder space, of course, because it's more general. We're talking over several topics here that we're going to cover. And everything that you're about to hear is my opinion. And I feel pretty strong about it, about these things, about where we're at in our life, with these different deals. And so, yeah, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to break some stuff down and try to find some understanding here on a few areas here that can really help. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and we're going to get downrange with this stuff. All right. So, downrange with current events. What's current event? The biggest thing is probably a lot of the voting, right? Elections. Hey, man, if you got a beef, if you got an opinion, go vote. When you think about 330 million people in this country, and on average, less than 50% of the people of this country vote, it's pretty crazy how social media gets dominated with opinions and shit when half the people out there don't even actually exercise a civic right that they've been given, the right to vote. It's kind of interesting when you look at that. I mean, everybody you talk to has got an opinion on something, right? Lord knows that. But when you look at the numbers of how many people actually get out there and vote, it's almost, I want to say it's pretty damn low. I mean, we should be having, I mean, obviously 100% of the people that are registered, that are of a legal age and capable of voting and have the right still, and it hasn't been removed from them, should be voting, to guide this country. Lord knows there's enough families and people and men and women out there that have paid the ultimate sacrifice and price to preserve our rights to do so. So yeah, pretty silly when it comes to that. This is right at the heart of one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about is, why is it in today's world we are so divided? And I'm going to talk America specifically here, obviously, okay? Why is that? A lot of people have different opinions as to why that is, and who did this and who did that, and this side's this and that side's that. I'm going to say this real clear, and I 100% absolutely, completely believe this in my heart of hearts. If you think our issues are a left issue or a right issue, you haven't looked close enough yet. All I'm going to tell you is look closer. Now, it's easy to say that because that makes sense in our head, right? We can resonate with that. It's why, literally you go way back. Name calling. Why do people give somebody a name or insult them with a name or whatever? It's because if I can put a label on something as a human being, well, now I know right where to put it. In my head, in my decision-making process, if I can label somebody as something, now they have a place. If I don't label them, if I don't have an idea, well, I don't know what to do with them right now. Okay, this is how our mind operates. I call this person a jackwagon. Well, now in my head, jackwagons hold this position when it comes to determining whether or not I want to listen to them, hear them, do I believe them, anything they say. I got a jackwagon over here. I don't need to pay attention so much to that as opposed to this. This is a good person here. I know who this person is. Okay? This is how our mind works. It's why we label through this stuff. And when you start trying to label something left or right, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, when you start labeling those things, and I'm not saying that labeling's bad. Don't get me confused there. Don't confuse what I'm saying. But I'm saying there's a reason behind, and it's important to understand these things when you're trying to figure out the big question, which is, why are we so divided? Why does it feel like now that when we talk about things, there's just this major divide? And as I said, you can't just sit there and chalk it up to left and right. Okay, liberal, conservative. It's not that simple. And that is not the correct answer. I'm telling you right now. It just isn't. You got to go deeper. And I know that in today's world, our attention span is that pretty much of a moth. But if you truly, truly want to be a better person, if you want to react differently, if you don't want as much stress inside your heart, inside your head, you got to go deeper. Right? You need to look into this stuff. We got to the point somewhere where all of a sudden being wrong about something meant that we're not trustworthy. We are not creditable. We're not good if we're wrong about something. So we have to be right. We've got this idea. It's along the same lines where it's in the same realm, if you will, of the participation trophy crowd. Okay, it's in that same breath. All of a sudden, it was horrible to lose. When being a coach of 20 years, I'll tell you what, some of the best lessons you could ever teach your athletes came from losses. You want to talk about motivators? You find out who it is that packing the minerals to be able to pick themselves back up and come back the following week. Who's willing to work harder? Who's willing to go further than other people? Well, you don't find that when you go undefeated. You don't find that when you make, oh, you didn't lose, the other team cheated. Or it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Everybody's the same. That horse shit. And that's all that is. That's absolute horse shit. And that's where this whole idea that you couldn't be wrong anymore, right? You couldn't be mistaken about something. You have to, so we're so afraid of losing. We're so afraid of being wrong that it drives our brains to the point of pushing back other areas of information that perhaps could show us that we're wrong about something, or a view, an opinion could be off. We get rid of it. And one of the best ways to do that is to label the other side as, if you think differently than me, then you absolutely must be the most evil thing that's ever walked the planet. Both sides do that. Both sides do. I've watched it firsthand. I have people that I love and respect dearly that do this. Doesn't change my opinion of them whatsoever. You know, we talk about this. More and more people are talking about, in today's world, what happened to being able to disagree and still get along? Well, we're unraveling that right now as we talk about this. We have this need in today's society to be this perfect thing. We're afraid to show vulnerability because we still believe that vulnerability means weakness in some fashion or form, when that also is horseshit. It's just not true. Vulnerability means you're human. And it means maybe perhaps that you have a heart and a conscience about you. And neither one of those are weak. Those are some of the best things you can possess in the scope of life. I've come to learn that. Take that as old guy knowledge. Having compassion, having a heart, having a conscience about you. Those are good things. Those are not weak things. Will there be people out there, or instances or forces or powers, that will look to exploit those in you and use them as some weakness in your armor? Yes, they will. Yes, it will. Yes, they will. And it will be your charge to prevent that. It will be your charge at that point to strengthen up further with fortitude, integrity, honor, character, and truth. Here we come to another one as we're trying to unravel this. Why are we so divided? Somewhere along the way, we started using these terms that this is my truth, or speak your truth. This, oh my gosh, take another mushroom, smoke another bowl, whatever it is that you need to get to that frame of mind where you think that there is more than one truth when it comes to certain areas. When you grind it down, there is one truth, and there is not truth. There is fact, and then there's not fact. This is objective information here, okay? Does the possibility exist for another alternative view of these things? Certainly does. In which point, until fact can be presented in that case, it then becomes opinion, not truth. We have a truth of a situation and we have not a truth of a situation. It's like the difference between what's good and what's bad. There is good and then there is bad. These are not difficult concepts. There's right and then there's wrong. Now, what's right for one person might not be right for another, Gene. Perhaps. Maybe these are your social constructs that you always hear people talk about, and we immediately think that's a bad thing. I'm not sure why we think that's a bad thing. We have a culture here in America, and we have a society here that has been created. And while it may have its issues that need to continue to improve upon, we have a beautiful culture here. We have a potpourri that everybody, if willing to become a constructive and good citizen of the United States of America, you too can have your piece of the pie. You too can have your opportunities to achieve something great. It's all there. It's absolutely all there. Now, there's a generation of kids out there that don't believe that anymore. And I get that. I understand that. I don't agree with it, but I at least can understand it. I can understand the point that they're trying to make. It looks like it doesn't exist anymore. And in some areas of our country, sadly, I would agree with them. I live in one of them. Young people trying to get a start out here in Colorado, good luck. You're going to need a lot of help to get that done. And it's by design. It's what they want. They don't want that. They don't want that up and comer here in the state. Clearly, if they did, they would set up programs and set up a market that would promote that. And they don't. They want existing money flowing in. That's what they want. They want big progress. Everywhere you turn out here in Colorado, there's multifamily going up left and right. I digress. So, as we're going down this rabbit hole about need to be perfect about stuff in our social media landscape of what it shows us out there, make no mistake, I'm one of those guys that I hate that term that it's okay not to be okay. No, it isn't. You know what it is? It's understandable and it's human if you're not okay. If you got some problems, you got issues, that's understandable, dude. That's pretty much all of us out there. We're all in that boat. And it's not okay to stay there. You should be trying to find ways to become better. You should be trying to find ways out of not being okay. That is where that power comes from. Now, if you don't know the way to get out of that, if you're struggling in those areas, well, then there's resources. At which point it takes your wisdom and your courage to get those resources, be it a friend, be it a buddy, be it services available out there, whatever it takes for you to be making forward progress to get the hell out of that not okay state. That's exactly what I believe. And I'm probably, what that does is make me a really bad counselor, if you will. So be it. I'm a podcast host and a founder of a nonprofit organization. That's it. That's all I claim to be. And it's also okay to not be perfect, because no one is. That's an unrealistic thought. And I saw this the other day, this statement. If you're trying to be perfect, or you're wondering why people don't maybe like something that you do or something that you say, and this really gets underneath your skin, think about this. If you have roots in faith, Jesus Christ was perfect, and they killed him for it. So what are you worried about? Or what makes you think that in your existence that society is going to be always so accepting? It's a hell of a revelation inside your head to think of it in that way. To think of it in a bigger sense like that. Another one of those lessons, right, that the book and the big man upstairs teaches us to pay attention to. So here we are. We're coming back around to this. Why are we so divided? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. You got to stay with me on this. I had a presentation all lined up, but I'm not going to do that. Stick with me here. So in order to figure out why are we divided on topics, let's think about how do we get the information about topics. Pick a topic, any topic. Let's say economy, okay? How do we get information about that? How do we formulate our opinions on this? Now, despite all of our better judgment, because we all know that following social media is not a good place to get your news. At least not vetted news, not information that's real, none of that. But we still do it, okay? We're all guilty of it. We see the news article, we see the headline, whatever. We try to look at what source that? Oh, ABC News affiliate out of da-da-da. It's got to be real. Nope. It most certainly does not. That is nowhere in any statement anywhere that says these days that news reporting is factual. It's just not there. That is a fact. You see, the news sources were getting the traditional news source on TV and online, they were getting their butts handed to them by social media. All of a sudden, these little upstarts were killing them. Nobody was going to the major outlets anymore. Nobody was tuning into TV anymore. It's all streaming services and things of this nature. And they realized that, just like the newspaper was killed because of the online era, the digital era. The newspapers basically lost all ground. And so what happens is all your major news outlets that actually have reporters working for them, not just internet sleuths, if you will, they realize that social media is kicking our ass. We got to do something. So they did. They started to become more like that. And they jumped in and started putting out news articles there. And unfortunately, what comes with that is a complete degradation of factual information. It's gone. Now you just want to be the first to put it up there so you can get in front of the trend. Right? You want to, if something's already trending, you want to jump into that wave. You want to grab it. You want to hashtag this, do that. Because at the end of the day, they don't care if the information is real, right, correct, or its implications. What they care is, are we getting interactions? Again, that's fact. That's not opinion. That's fact. They don't care what good or bad their news article or their opinion or their title, they don't care what it does. What they care is, do they get interactions? Do they get engagement? And can they take care of their stakeholders? So where we get our information from is already now suspect. So that's the first thing. The second thing about your social media landscape is how the algorithms work in your news feeds. When you're out here doom scrolling away and you're looking in news feeds, do you realize that that stuff is changing real time? The news feed isn't a predetermined and laid out thing for you that loads on your phone that you go look at. No, the series of articles that's being shown is adjusting literally in real time based on your interactions. How long do you watch a video? Do you click a video? Are you on reels? How long do you stay on that reel? Do you like this topic? Do you not like this topic? Do you choose to hide this post or not follow this person? Or do you, LOL, do you comment on something? All of that is brought into the algorithm, the changing of information that's being put in front of you. So let's take the economy, and let's say we come up and we see this talk and it's got somebody from the, camp A who's talking about something, and we like that post. Well, the next thing we scroll to is another person, somebody else that's agreeing, saying the same thing. Well, yeah. And then the next thing that we slide to is now somebody else or something else, or maybe an influencer we've never seen, but saying the same thing. They're agreeing with you on what you liked or that viewpoint. Absolutely 100% confirmed. The algorithms will hit you with what they think you like. And they've gotten, with AI these days, folks, they've gotten damn good at figuring out what you like and what you don't like. And every now and again, if you've noticed, there'll be a weird article that gets slid in there that's an opposing view. And if you choose to hide that or whatever, that just concretes the algorithm. But if you happen to interact with that one, well, now you're getting both sides for at least a little while. You're seeing, what the heck? Every now and again, I'm seeing more of the opposing view. It's a rarity, but it occurs. So as you are formulating your opinion, you're seeing all of this affirmation about the view that you've already gotten, that you've already said your knee-jerk reaction. Because chances are, you watched about 30 seconds of a video, and all of a sudden you're a freaking expert on the nation's economy. because what that person said resonated with you and made total sense in your head. Therefore, you're going to go with it. And all of a sudden, you've got this opinion made, right? You've got this opinion formed, and you've got other people to back up that opinion now that you've seen online, people you don't know, people you've heard about, people you admire, celebrities, people you voted for. And what's more important is people that you didn't vote for don't like your idea. Therefore, it must be the right one. This is what's taking place out there. Now, go back to what I talked about. Add into that your need to be perfect. Add in there you're afraid to be wrong. And add the basic human instinct of a tribal connection is what you're looking for. You want to be included in the group. You want to be a part of something, because in numbers we have strength, right? It's like that bait ball of fish. Why do they get in a big bait ball? Because when they're out by themselves, they are for sure 100% dinner. But as soon as they get in a big ball together and they're swimming around like that, they know they're going to lose a few, but they've got a higher percentage chance of survival. And that's what that basic human instinct is that tribal connection. We want to belong to something. And what better to belong to than people that think just like you, have those same opinions with you on these topics. And as I said, what concretes it is, if you were wrong, the implications of that. So the easiest thing for these opinions to do is to start name calling. We talked about that already. And it's also easy to do is demonize the other side. If you have an opposing view to mine, it means you're a piece of shit. It means you are ignorant. You're stupid. You're uneducated. You're indoctrinated. Whatever it is. All of a sudden, that becomes. So now when you hear opposing view, you can immediately dismiss that as ignorant. No way. Nope, not going to believe that shit whatsoever. And I can't believe you would either. That makes me sad to think you could think anything but that. So now, keep in mind, while you're going through that, the person who thinks completely 180 degrees opposite of you is getting the same thing, except from their point of view, their opinion, people that think like them. And the same thing's occurring there. You've got this coming together. So, of course, there is no room there for negotiation. There's no room there to somehow formulate an agreement or some sort of compromise of some kind. Because to do that would require you to admit that you could be wrong. It would require you to give the other side some kudos. And you certainly can't do that, can you? So how do you get through that? How do you get around it? That's a damn good question. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm coming to grips with, and I'm about to do something here with you that a lot of people wouldn't do, and I'm sure some people would tell me not to do. But I'm going to get vulnerable with you, and I'm going to share with you some of my personal stuff in my personal life. And I'm going to show you how I'm choosing to deal with this and where I'm going with it and why I sit here before you pretty comfortable. I've had this nonprofit for a few years. I've had this idea for a couple of years before that. Had to give up a lot of stuff. And had to really question what it is that my definition of being a man is. You know, and we live in a world where, you know, male toxicity, garbage. Shut up. Everybody's a victim, right? I can't stand that. I have no time for the victim mentality. Get over it. Work your way through it. Sorry, I was a very poor kid raised by a single mom who didn't graduate the ninth grade, dude, and she busted her butt. Did she do great? No, she screwed up a ton. Now that I'm a 50-some-year-old, I look at my mother. She was as imperfect as it quite possibly you can get. Every day she opens her pie hole, and she's in her 90s now, bless her heart. She opens her pie hole when she shouldn't. She sticks her foot in her mouth all the time. And I still love her dearly. Because what she had, where she was at, her heart was in the right place. And she did her best to raise the kids that she had. And never once did she sit there looking for a handout. Never once did she claim us to be victims. We had to fight for what we got. Pretty much even lunch and dinner we had to. And we did. And I'm proud of that. Wasn't born with a silver spoon. Matter of fact, had one of my own siblings tell me, who do you think you are? Where do you think we come from? And I rejected her 100%. It was my own sister. And I still reject that today. I don't give a rat's ass where we came from or who. I know who I want to be, and I know what I want to do. And I knew that when I was in my 20s. Came out a lot more arrogant back then than it does now. Today, it's in your 50s, it's confidence. No, it's still the same view. Maybe a little bit of arrogance in there. But I digress. I've had this nonprofit. I've had to check on what I believe it is to be a man out there. My definition, it used to come around, how successful are you in your career? What did you do? How much money did you make? Did you provide for your family? And I'm sure somewhere along the way, someone would say, yes, I did a good job at that. Then I'm pretty sure there's somebody else out there that would say, no, I didn't do a good job at that. Which is why I'm on my second marriage. And I realized as time went on, well, none of that. It's not about money. It's not about success. It is about providing, but what are we providing? At the end of the day, if Mother Nature, Uncle Sam, somebody else could take this away from you, am I really providing you with something if I give this to you, if it can go away tomorrow, or if it can become made useless? What am I providing? I still believe to this day that I never became a man until I became a father. When I became a father with my daughter, I understood at that point what my responsibilities were going to be. I had no clue the expanse of it, of course, but I could really set it down to 4 things. First and foremost thing, to be a man, my job was to protect my children and my family. Not because they needed the protection necessarily, but because they deserved the protection. And it was my responsibility to provide that. I had more tools available to me to provide that protection than anybody else did in our family. Therefore, it should be my responsibility to do so. The other area was my job was to teach my family, teach my children things that would carry with them through life. How to deal with issues, how to deal with loss, how to deal with success. What should we label as success? Teach, guide, if you will. The other principle was to love them. Something I didn't have as a kid. I didn't have until I was way late into my teens. I never really understood what a father figure truly was. It was my mother and I and my brother. That was it. So I didn't really know how a dad, I knew what I saw on TV, right? Some of the dads, pretty cool. But keep in mind, y'all, I grew up in that era of Archie Bunker. I was thinking, damn, kind of glad I don't have that around the house. So when I was looking at that, I realized at that point, though, it'll be my job to show them unconditional love. Even when they disappoint me, even when they screw up, when they make bad choices, I will still love them. And I will do my best to teach them and protect them along the way. And last but not least in my mind was to set the example. I so desperately wanted to show my daughter what it was to be a positive male influence in her life. Of what being a man should be. And hopefully that one day she sought out similar traits with somebody that she chose to be with for the rest of her life. So you try to do that. Now you can drill that down to, again, to job or whatever it else may be. But really at the end of the day, we're talking about things that actually impact and last. How we interact with other people, what we choose to do in this world, how we choose to live our life. All of those things wrap around that. When I started this nonprofit, I wasn't quite sure how to get it done. I have a master's degree in business administration. I have a bachelor's degree in IT management. I've owned several small businesses. Feel pretty strong in those areas, but never in a nonprofit, so I wasn't sure exactly how to get that done. And so we started on the path, and then a year into it, we became an official nonprofit. And in those 3 years, we've had people come and go as far as collaborators and volunteers with us. And there's a couple areas that I'm pretty damn proud of. You can 100% question my experience. You can 100% question my methods that I use to run this nonprofit or to run the podcast, whatever it may be. You can question the people I choose to associate with. All of those things are legit. I'm never gonna think less of you if you don't like my decisions in those areas whatsoever. The one thing, however, that I am extremely proud of, that I stand strong to, is the one thing you can't question is my integrity or my heart. Because those are two things that I know 100%. Remember, let's go way back to the beginning of this conversation. There's truth, there's right, there's good, and then there's the other sides. And the truth of the matter is, my heart is in serving those that serve or have served 100%. I am not here for personal gain. I'm not here for hoopla or to get plaques or to be recognized for this and for that. Thanks to those who have, doesn't really do it for me. What I am here to do is build an organization that goes way beyond me. And that's what I'm trying to do every day. Again, you may not like my methods sometimes that we use. You may have a different opinion. Totally respect that. Totally cool. But you can't, you have no ground, and you'd be a complete idiot to try to question or check my integrity or my heart in these matters. And those are things that I stand strong on. I feel very, very clear in that. And yeah, that's part of that being a man. I 100% believe that. And in this process, though, this is where we're getting to this now. I am the most imperfect idiot when it comes to certain things out there. I feel strongly about, these one areas of me over here. But then in other areas, man, my mouth writes checks that sometimes my ass has a hard time cashing. It really does. I have the best intentions in the world. I get caught up in mission creep all the freaking time, dog. I am like a dog chasing squirrels some days. Some days I want the TPO to be the biggest damn thing, helping any and everybody that I can out there all over the place. And then there's other days where I'm wondering, Jesus criminally, are we going to be able to keep the lights on? I make wrong decisions a lot. Don't always take the path that I probably should take in a lot of cases. And all that's okay. In our social media world, we see just the good things of people all the time. And I'm just the same. I post just the fun, cool trips, the thises and the that's. What you don't see are the things going on in my personal life. And I'm going to share a couple of those with you for this purpose. Not because I want your admiration, not because I want your feedback on my situation. I'm handling my own business, all right? But the point is, I'm going to show you, and maybe there's a person out there that sees this and understands, yeah, man, I feel that. And can maybe find some healing in that area. And if me, showing some vulnerability and exposing some of my issues that are going on out there in instances can help somebody, damn right. Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem whatsoever doing that. None whatsoever. I will gladly put that up, because that is right at the heart of what we're trying to do with this. A while back, my family is, as I said, we have very, very modest trailer park life, right? That's all of us. That's where we came from growing up. And I have two sisters, a brother, and a mother. And I've got a niece and a nephew. That's my blood-related family that's out there. I have two guys that I consider brothers. I've known them for long enough. There's always some sort of drama going on between the girls. Whether it's my two sisters are arguing, or my mom is arguing with one of the, having a issue with one of them, this and that. It's been going on for years. It just always has. At one time, my mother and I didn't speak for almost 2 years. Just over differences and issues, family-related stuff of how we handled certain things, and just getting angry with each other and just, fighting amongst family. Well, right now, the middle kid, because I'm the youngest of four, the middle sister, she and my mother have had a falling out, and they haven't been speaking to each other and this and that. And they're both, I'll tell you right now, they're both to blame. There's no question about it. I've stayed neutral through this thing the whole time, and they both got their issues through this whole thing. One absolutely just doesn't want to resolve the issue. The other would be willing to resolve it, but neither here nor there. Well, last Christmas time, I think it was, Christmas or Thanksgiving, I sent a big text, because they all live in Minnesota, and I sent a big text to my two sisters, my mother, and my brother. And I said, hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you all have a great deal. My sister responded. And then my mother snaps off with some snide, shitty remark of some kind. And next thing I know, I get a private text from my sister saying, hey, Gene, in the future, I just appreciate you don't include me in that stuff anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, now I find out through the grapevine, because I tried to, we don't talk much, but I tried to send a text wishing my sister a happy birthday and never heard a dang thing from it. I'm like, wow, okay, now she's just, cut us off too? We're not even going to talk anymore? Is that where we're at? Is that what we've come to? And I get word, because they're still talking to my daughter that's out there in Minnesota as well, and I get word that, yeah, apparently I screwed up, man. How dare me include everybody in that text there? I just started World War III, you'd swear. I'll tell you what, dude, I lost my, how dare I wish you Merry Christmas, huh? You idiots. Oh my God. This is what I talked about. People just can't get over themselves these days. Humility is just not something that's there. And I hope they understand where they're going with this, because you cut off people from your life, well, then you live in that. Don't try to come back later for your own, peace of mind to try to do something, when you're standing there over a casket of some kind. You remember your choices and you live in that. And I'll tell you what, man, when you get to the stage in life where I'm at right now, which is, I understand I have less years in front of me than I do behind me. Mortality kicks in, and that doesn't put fear in me whatsoever any longer. I don't fear that. But I am paying real close attention to how my actions interact with other people out there. And I do believe 100% in the fact that you should be held accountable for being a turd or being a good person. 100%. I don't think you should be let them know. You shouldn't get a trophy if you've been an ass. Okay, you should get an ass label is what you should get. And that's that. Some people ask, well, Gene, why would you share, your personal information? Because I'll be honest with you, there's probably 2 people right now that are watching this podcast 45 minutes into it. I love you too, people, by the way. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Not a single member of my family will probably watch this podcast to this point. I'm well aware of that. Fine. Totally cool. And if they do, I'm glad, because then maybe they'll get a chance to see. They'll kind of see where my brain is at. I'll tell you, signs have been presenting themselves. My relationship with faith has been a roller coaster. Didn't grow up in the church. Went to church every now and again, but I grew up understanding the story. I was taught that. I was taught the story of the Bible, taught the story of Jesus. And my mother's always been a believer. We just weren't very big churchgoers, if you will. Kind of distanced myself, obviously, as most teenagers do. And then as a young man, I really grasped onto it there for a while. Locked in, going to sleep at night with the Bible and always with me. And then left. Completely rejected it. A few things happened in life that really made me question. And I didn't understand why would God do this if he truly was real? You know, I went through all that piece there. Not understanding things the way I understand things now. And I'll tell you, as time has gone, that's how I raised my kids too. I did not raise them in the church whatsoever. Taught them some of the stories of the Bible. Always wanted them to kind of go on their own search and see if the faith was right for them. Did some theology, time as well, some study time to understand things and get historic account of this kind of information to kind of see where everything lies with this. And I'll tell you, as I get older, wisdom starts to kick in, and there's something that I came to grips with. Number one, I believe it is horribly illogical to think that everything that takes place in this world is just some random occurrence. At the end of the day, whether you're an atheist or a devout Christian, you believe the same thing, principally speaking. Here's what I mean. Atheist believes from nothing sprung everything. Okay? Big Bang. From basically nothing, everything became. In the world of Christianity, God created the heavens and the earth. The Creator created everything. Atheist believes that when you die, nothing happens. You don't go anywhere. You basically return to nothing. Christianity believes that when you die, you either go to heaven or you go elsewhere. In which case, by going to heaven, much like an atheist believes, you return to your Creator. Principally, philosophically speaking, it's the same thing. It's the source that you disagree on. And it takes a gigantic leap of faith to believe the atheist belief. It absolutely does. Because science, teaches us that we believe we have these things figured out if you grant us one miracle, and that miracle is the Big Bang. Sounds a lot like what the Bible's trying to teach you as well. Now, is the Bible created by man? Yes, it is. It's written by man. It was formulated and put together by man. Do I think it is the only word and just the word of God itself? No, I do not. I believe it is people that are writing on that account. This is the King James Version, which is a little bit more difficult. People are recounting, things that have been said. And yes, I still believe in the fact that life isn't random occurrences, man. Absolutely not. I just don't believe that. I think that is just too far stretch, and it is illogical to see that. I've had too many occurrences and things take place in my life to throw it up to just pure fate, pure coincidence, whatever the case may be. I do believe in the fact that there has been divine intervention when I absolutely was doing everything I possibly could to screw myself, my life, and other people around me up I do believe I've been nudged or moved into the right direction from time to time. Honestly do. And like a post that I put up there, this last bass tournament, I brought out 2 pitching and flipping rods, and I was going to throw jigs on them. And I've got my first jig lined up. It was a different kind of a gamble, if you will. And on my first cast, underhand pitch, the rod broke. If you know anything about fishing, pitching is not a hard maneuver, but this rod broke literally at the first eyelet, just snapped. And I'm like, well, I guess that's a sign I shouldn't be throwing that jig. And I put it up, put it in the back of the boat. I grabbed the other one, tossed it out there, about third cast, doink, hooked up. Okay. Later that day, floating around, and there was a big old blue heron on this one stump sticking out of the water, all by itself, off to the side of another stump field. I had fished around in that stump field with nothing. Blue heron was sitting on that one there. As I got closer, he took off and flew away, and I pitched. And on the second pitch in there, doink, hooked up a good one. Signs are everywhere. Now, could that just be happenstance? Yeah, it could be. Could just be coincidence. I believe 100% that if you pay attention, the signs are around you. It's whether or not how you want to interpret those, how you want to watch those. Why would, in the big scheme of things, God care about my fishing? Great question. Maybe it was because so I could share the stories of belief. Maybe it was because I could share then some of the stories of signs. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I don't have the answers to those things, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having the answers. It's kind of one of the steps in having a good scientific mind is to understand that in the science, throughout science, it's a search for answers. It's not knowing. It's searching for information. See, I think those two worlds are a lot closer than what people realize and think. And that helps get through this. Find your peace with the fact that, dude, everybody's got their problems out there, all right? We all do, and we want to make them better. How do you treat people around you? What's in your heart? One of the things that I used to teach kids in youth athletics, integrity, or this was once told to me by a business mentor of mine who happened to be a Marine captain. And the term was, the measure of a man is what he does when no one's looking. That's integrity. That's character. Other guys have been quoted as saying that adversity doesn't reveal integrity or character. It gives you a chance to use it. And I think in all of those little philosophies and those things, that's where we find that peace inside of our head. I'm comfortable in the fact, Jack, that I know that, dude, I am anything but perfect. I got more flaws than you can count. But like I told you before, the one thing I am sound in, that I feel unmatched in, is my heart and my integrity when it comes to my purpose and what I'm doing. Those things are sound. And to me right now, man, that's a foundation, right? Everything else I'll keep working on every day. And I'm going to help those around me do the same thing. So take heart, dude. You don't need to be the perfect package. Okay? You don't. Have a good, sound foundation about you. Have the desire to be in a better position. And every day, take small steps in that direction. Every day, keep working towards that. I have to check myself driving down the road all the time. Someone driving, especially in Colorado, they cut me off or they're jamming on the brakes or whatever, and I'm in there yelling at them, and then I keep telling myself, dude, check yourself. Why are you getting so mad? It's not easy. It's a daily routine. Trust me, I want to choke the piss out of so many people most of the time. I know that on social media, when you see me out there in the shows or here, we keep ourselves a nice, even keeled. Trust me, there's a kid long ago that was angry at the world that still lives inside of me. And my knee-jerk reaction includes a lot of elbows and a lot of choking and a lot of kicking and a lot of punching. And it's a daily routine for me to keep that in check and keep wanting to be better. Keep spreading forward love, keep spreading forward support, positivity. And that's where we need to be, dude. That's where we need to be. Acceptance. Think about this in a lineage. That's what I'm going to leave you with. Acceptance is far greater than tolerance. Okay, tolerance, I don't like that. If you tolerate something. That's like saying, you tolerate, this person's bratty kid because you want to date this person. Dude, if you got a bratty kid, they got a bratty kid. It's still not going to take that away just because you're tolerating it. Because there'll come a point where your tolerance will be gone. Acceptance. Acceptance is greater than tolerance. And neither one of those two is greater than, because both of those two things are less than understanding. Listen and strive to understand. It's going to take both sides to do it. It's going to take all sides to do it, because there isn't just two sides. There's a third side out there. There's a fourth side. We got to get back to that point. And if we start it, and if we expect it from other people around us, and we request it from those in our circles that, hey, we're looking for understanding here, not looking for acceptance, not looking to agree. I'm just looking to understand. And stop letting petty, garbage, stupid little issues out there get in the way of you and family and friends. At the end of the day, dude, no one gives three shits what you think about them in political office, or your view on Ukraine and this and that means nothing. Do you work at the Pentagon? Are you in the Foreign Affairs Department? Do you have any control over any of this stuff? No, you don't. You don't. So getting upset with somebody who disagrees with you is about the biggest waste of energy that you could do. Just telling you. When you don't have as many in front as you do behind, you start looking at things a little bit different, man. Spread a little bit more of that love out there. Take care of each other. Tight lines. Be safe.